What's up, guys? Welcome back. Another downtrending day today, as it seems like we've experienced for the past month or so, ever since we made the highs at 46.31. Been in a clear downtrend, and especially the last 4 or 5 trading days, we've had some steep falls from 4,500, and that continued today. And we raced yesterday's gains and then some. So before the open bell, we had a couple supply zones I was looking for. We had a 3-hour supply zone that was created overnight at 42.92 and a 1-hour supply zone at 43.11 created last Friday. Those are the only two supply zones I was looking for. On the demand side, looking for a 4-hour demand zone that was created yesterday at 42.52. You can see it's a wide zone, but it's a clear one. So definitely looking for this to hold. And if it doesn't, then it's a sign of clear weakness. So no other demand zones below that. So that's easy on that side. Overnight highs at 43.03, overnight lows at 42.61. And let's get started. Yeah, and also this orange line at 41.95 is yesterday's low, so we definitely want to stay above that. As you can see, we did not. All right, so at the open bell, we're opening up right around 42.60, a little bit above. We break below overnight lows, use it as resistance, and continue down. Get into this demand zone and just don't find really any buyers. You have clear low 5-minute buying right here, right? You don't like seeing that in the first place anywhere, especially if we're in a demand zone and a big key demand zone. Finding no buyers there was a huge red flag in that first 30 minutes of the day, and gave us kind of a clue, a sign of what to expect. We consolidated for about 20 to 30 minutes here before dropping about 30 points down to 42.20. And at that point, I mean, the party's over for longs. That we're too far into the demand zone. I'm not going to go long unless we create new demand on at least a 15-minute chart and then retest that demand zone. Other than that, I'm just going to be shorting all day. If we get into a supply zone or create new supply zone and test it out. So the supply that was already there was a little far away, so I figured that would be not a possibility at 42.92. We did create another 3-hour supply zone at 9 o'clock. Was it 3-hour? I think it was. Right here. So this is a little bit lower than the other 3-hour zone we already created overnight. So it gives us a chance if we can get up in here, catch a lower high, and take a short position off of that. Mark it. There it is. And that is at 42.72. But we didn't get up there and test it, but it is there. All right, so this is about 9:30 at this point. Like I said, no long positions until we create new demand zone inside this area, but we just continue to stay in this little downtrend until we got to 4,200 psychological level. Towards yesterday's low, we created a little bounce, and in the process, we created a 45-minute demand zone. We chart that out. All right, cool. So we're creating demand. That's a good sign. At this point, I'm still a little wary because the market is so weak right now. So I don't know if I would go long right away. I'd want to see a bounce back into it, and then probably a bounce that is able to get over this clear resistance we have here at 42.30. We've rejected off it once, twice, 3 times. So once we get into this new demand zone that just formed, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy, even if we get a higher low on the 5-minute chart, I probably still wouldn't buy it until we're able to get over this 42.30, 42.32 area. That gives us more of a chance to break out and possibly test this supply zone, and we would take our profits there. But right when this 45-minute demand zone was created, was about noon Central Time. Selling pressure just took over right away, and we dumped right into it. First red flag, second red flag, no buying once we got into that new zone that just formed. Low 5-minute buying right here, and then just fell right through it. So a couple red flags for me overall. If you just want to short and play the trend, 3 red flags. 1, we've obviously been in the clear downtrend for the past month. 2, we've fallen deep inside this 4-hour demand zone that was created yesterday. Not good. 3, we created new demand today, and even that wasn't able to hold. Anytime you have demand zones that are created intraday and they fail, that's a sign of a clear weakness, and more selling is likely to continue. It's not a 100% probable chance, but usually that is the case, and that is what we got today. But once it broke this demand zone, it didn't sell off right away, right? We bounced off of yesterday's lows. It bounced here for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Rejected off of 15-minute supply zone. That was also created right here. Chart that out. 15-minute. Okay. Now, this would have been a good short opportunity if you're not waiting for a whole lot of confirmation. As you know by now, I wait for a lower high in at least a 5-minute time frame. We didn't get that. If I zoom in here, we touched it. We almost touched it a couple times here, but didn't. Then we finally touched it once and didn't even get a lower high in the 1-minute chart. You have clear weakness. Buying disappeared after touching it. Then it sold off from there, and then finally broke below yesterday's lows of 41.95. But we didn't get a lower high in the 5-minute chart, so it was hard to take a short off of that. All right, so that one was a clear supply zone that did form, but didn't get a proper entry off of it. And then from there, it sold off hard, sold off below yesterday's lows. And once again, game's kind of over from there, unless it comes back up and does what yesterday did, which was making new lows and probably trap a bunch of people, come back up here, and then rip 100 points. Yeah, the party's over if we don't do that. And we did not. I mean, we did come back up here and try to test this zone, test yesterday's lows, but we used it as resistance, which is another red flag. And then we sold off from there. Consolidated for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then we really didn't sell off until about 5 minutes before the end of the day. And at that point, you're probably aware that we had a couple big earning report after the bell today. We had Microsoft and we had Google. Those are 2 of the top 5 weighted names in the S&P 500, so they can definitely move the market if they have bad earnings, good earnings, whatever it may be. Their earnings actually weren't even that bad, but just another sign of how weak the market is right now. It's still sold off, 30 points or so, which is not great. So, no trades for me today. This 4-hour demand zone did not hold. This demand zone that was created here did not hold. This supply zone that formed held, but we didn't get a proper entry, and it just continued to sell off. Overall, bigger picture, not to say that the market's tanking or anything like that. I don't predict. I just react to the supply zones that are created, the supply and demand zones that are created. Predicting just seems like something that gets you in trouble all the time, and I see so many traders taking big losses off of that. I just trade off of what the chart tells me, and that's it. But I will say it's not like it's the end of the world after this huge downtrend. We're still above the 4,100 lows from a couple months ago. So until that breaks, we could get another bounce from here. As long as we stay above this zone, I mean, we can bounce over here a million times. I'm sure everybody and their mother is bearish right now, but usually that is when things start to reverse and we get a crazy move and squeeze everybody out and get a good move to the long side. I'm going to try to make sure that's not a bias into my trading tomorrow, but party's definitely not over, so we'll see what happens overnight. We'll see if these demand zones down here that I haven't talked about hold overnight. If we break below, then we may very well have some more bleeding tomorrow or the rest of the week, but we will see.